All right, so a word about George Shearing.
Yeah, that piece that I just played, the arrangement of She's Leaving Home,
Yeah.
is mine, but the unusual harmonizations come from years of studying George Shearing's music. I first met George when I was 7, and he became a lifelong friend and mentor who would stay at my home when he came through town with the quintet.
Awesome.
Most kids would wait for the circus to come to town. I used to wait for George to come to town because I could ask him so many questions and go, Mr. Shearing, is this right? And then I would play his records back to him and he would go back to England Shearing. But that harmonization sense is really an underappreciated art that he really brought to its zenith.
What were some of the things that he showed you as a child that really kind of helped you on your course?
Well, there were two things. Basically, his touch, his sense of inner dynamics. You know, most people are fortunate if they will make a dynamic distinction between the melody and the accompaniment.
Right.
He made distinctions between all 10 of his fingers all the time.
Nice.
And it made for a really remarkable tone. Instead of hearing a chord as a monolith, you would hear it when he played it as a mosaic.
Nice.
Where all of those notes had their own dynamic, and they would, instead of being gray, they would be all colors of the rainbow.
Nice. So that was one, you said two things. What's the second thing?
The second thing was that, you know, he was also, you may recall, a blind person.
Yep.
And I am a legally blind person. And his was the shining example that proved that a blind person who worked hard and got the right breaks could not only survive in the world, but succeed.
Yes. Do you feel that being visually impaired, it must force your ears to overcompensate and give you a heightened listening ability?
No question, but it's not something you're born with. It's something that you work at.
Yeah.
It's no different than going to the gym every day and lifting weights. I have, you know, by any standard, really well-developed ear muscles.
Yes.
For listening, I learned all kinds of classical repertoire and all kinds of jazz repertoire by listening to it. I hesitate to use the phrase by ear because that has such a hit or miss connotation to it in the common mind. But because I worked at developing my ear training so continually for so many years, I was fortunate to be able to hear harmonies more specifically.
Very nice. Well, thank you for that info. That's wonderful.
My pleasure.
Appreciate the stories.